Hi there, Melodie Moore here from Business Tech Ninjas to go over your membership site metrics. So as you can see here, we have some sample data from a made-up company based on what we see as industry standards and what we're seeing within our clients' accounts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through what each of these metrics means and then potentially what you would want to do if these metrics are not what you would want them to be, potentially, as well as some insight into how you can find these metrics, because this seems simple in theory to be able to look at, but oftentimes when we are first working with a membership site company, whether they're new or maybe established, the first thing that we need to do is to look at their systems to see if their systems are set up to be able to see these metrics. Because oftentimes in our technology world of every number of different options for checkout systems and CRM and membership site platform, that increases the complexity of getting metrics like this. And even if you are using a metrics tool potentially, oftentimes these specific metrics are hard to find even within those. So as the membership site specialist, we have taken it upon ourselves to be able to figure this out and be able to set up the systems for our clients in order to be able to get these metrics. So to start off with, some of them are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on those. The first one is your monthly and then your yearly members. So at the beginning of each month, we look at, okay, at the first on midnight of that first month, how many monthly and then how many yearly members do we have? And that gives us a total. We then look at over the course of, let's say, July. So from July 1st to July 31st or whatever the end of the month is, how many people were added into that payment failure system? So that means how many people had a payment failure and potentially had that payment failure recovered. The next one is the recovery rate. So how many people actually ended up recovering from that payment failure? So why we want this number is because sometimes there could be a problem within your system of how people are updating those credit cards. Oftentimes we look in systems and they're not even being notified that they've had a payment failure. So we like to keep track of this to, one, make sure your system's set up correctly, and then two, to make sure it keeps working, because sometimes we see that processors will change their settings on you, and then all of a sudden, even if people update their credit cards, it's not going through correctly. So that's why we want to see consistency with that recovery rate. Potentially, you could also look at adding more emails and adding more text messages in order to improve this number, meaning that we, one, want to see the added to payment failure fairly low. 4 to 5% is around standard. And then the recovery rate is what it really will depend on whether you are a high-end membership or a low-end membership. You're going to see a higher payment recovery, if you have like a $5,000 a month or $5,000 a year or $200 or $300, because they're more invested, as opposed to maybe a $20 or $30 a month. You're probably going to see that your payment failure recovery rate is a little bit lower there. So maybe it would be somewhere around 70 to 80% is what I'd be looking for. Then we look at direct cancel. So those are people that have either emailed in specifically or have pushed a button on your site and said, hey, I don't want to be in your membership anymore. Next one is a Canadian cancel. This is something that we coined. It means that I got added into payment failure, but I just never updated my credit card because I'm just too polite to tell you that I don't want to be a part of your membership anymore. And then we have our total cancels. And then our last but not least, over the course of July, how many new members did we get? And then we're looking for our growth rate. So our growth rate is looking at how many new members were added and how many members did we lose, which means this is over time, how many, at the end of the month, our membership increased by 227, which is about a 3% growth rate. The important part of this growth rate functionality is it allows you to forecast down the road of if you change nothing and keep doing what you've been doing for the last 6 months, this is the potential growth rate that you might see. Now, I've had a little fluctuation in here to kind of show some of the things that we might see in a membership. So for instance, this particular company ran a big promotion in August, maybe gave a special bonus or did a partnership, and they almost doubled the amount of new members that they entered. But then what we see is that we had a really high increase of not only people being added into payment failure here, but also people that were direct canceling, which resulted in a negative growth rate that following month. This is where these numbers get really interesting, because you can see we ran this promotion, we did this partnership, we offered 50% off. How does that affect your membership in the long term? And then also, how does that affect that following month? Should we do that again? It could be the opposite that we could have seen in this particular one of actually the payment failure and the cancellation stayed exactly the same. So that partnership or that promotion was wildly successful. But without these kinds of metrics that you're keeping an eye on a regular basis, one, you don't know if your system's functioning correctly. Two, it makes it really difficult to make intelligent decisions about where to put your teams and your time, energy, and money. If you need some help sorting out your membership metrics, don't you worry, Business Tech Ninjas is here for you. We are here to remove the roadblock of technology to your business growth. Get in touch at hello@businesstechninjas.com. Thank you.